The blue light of Earth filled the viewport as the ISS Athena approached home. Commander Alan Wright stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the planet grow larger. After 3 years in deep space, exploring the outer reaches of the solar system, he was finally returning. His chest tightened with excitement at the thought of seeing Lisa again. 30 minutes to docking, Commander, said Lieutenant Kelly Mason from her station. Alan nodded. Thank you, Lieutenant. Prepare the crew for arrival procedures. He moved to his private quarters to gather his personal items. On his desk sat a framed photo of Lisa, her auburn hair catching sunlight, green eyes bright with laughter. The picture was taken the day before his departure at their lake house in Colorado. He traced his finger along the edge of the frame, remembering her promise to be waiting at the exact same docking bay when he returned. The Athena docked with a gentle shudder. Alan stood tall as the airlock cycled, straightening his uniform. When the door slid open, he expected to see Lisa's smiling face in the small crowd of family members waiting for the returning crew. She wasn't there. Instead, a stern-faced man in a Space Force uniform approached. Commander Wright, I'm Major Ben Howard. There's been a situation. If you'll come with me, please. Alan's heart sank as Major Howard led him to a private room and explained. 6 months into his mission, Lisa had been involved in a shuttle accident during her work as a biotechnology researcher. The crash had damaged her spinal cord, leaving her partially paralyzed from the waist down. Why wasn't I informed? Alan demanded, his voice rising. She requested we not tell you, Major Howard said, his expression softening slightly. She didn't want to distract you from your mission, said it might compromise your safety and the crew's. If you were worried about her. Alan felt a cold wave of guilt wash over him. While he had been exploring space, Lisa had been fighting her own battle alone. She's at the military medical center, Howard continued. They've fitted her with experimental neural implants to help with her mobility. The technology is still new, but she volunteered for the program. The hospital room was bright and sterile. Lisa sat in a wheelchair beside the window, looking out at the sprawling Space Force campus. She turned when Alan entered, her face lighting up with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Welcome home, spaceman, she said. Alan rushed to her, dropping to his knees beside the wheelchair. Lisa, I'm so sorry, I should have been here. She touched his face gently. And what would you have done? Healed my spine with your commander superpowers? She laughed, but there was a brittleness to the sound. The doctors are doing everything they can. These neural implants are helping. I can feel my legs sometimes, even move them a little with the assistance. In the weeks that followed, Alan tried to adjust to their new reality. The house had been modified with ramps and wider doorways. Lisa's lab had transferred her to an administrative role she could perform remotely. She remained positive, determined to adapt and recover as much function as possible. But Alan struggled. The confident, capable officer who had led a crew through the dangers of deep space felt helpless in the face of his wife's condition. He began spending more time at Space Force headquarters, volunteering for extra shifts and duties. Project Phoenix needs senior officers with deep space experience, he explained to Lisa one evening as he prepared to leave for another late meeting. The new warp drive could change everything about how we travel between stars. It's important work. Lisa watched him from her wheelchair, her fingers tapping a strange rhythm on the armrest, a habit she'd developed since getting the neural implants. More important than being home? Alan didn't answer, just kissed her forehead and left. At headquarters, he found himself drawn to the linguistics department, where the team was working on potential communication protocols for future alien contact. Lieutenant Olivia Pierce led these efforts, a brilliant woman with flowing blonde hair and warm brown eyes that crinkled when she laughed at Alan's jokes. Olivia listened when Alan talked about the challenges at home. She touched his arm sympathetically when he confessed his feelings of inadequacy. You're doing the best you can in an impossible situation, she told him one night as they worked late. Sometimes people grow apart after trauma. It's no one's fault. The first time he kissed her was after a department celebration for a breakthrough in the Phoenix project. They had stayed late, talking about the stars Alan had seen up close. When their lips met, he felt a rush of guilty excitement. They were Affair developed quickly. Olivia made him feel competent again, needed in a way that Lisa, with her fierce independence despite her disability, did not. Within months, they were meeting regularly in Olivia's apartment near the base. Alan told himself that Lisa was too absorbed in her medical treatments and adaptation to notice his absences. He was wrong. Lisa sat alone in her home office, the neural interface humming softly against her spine. The doctors had explained that the technology would create connections with her damaged nerves, helping restore some function. What they hadn't realized was that the experimental interface occasionally picked up digital signals from nearby systems. At first, it was just random data fragments, meaningless bits of information that flashed across her vision when she was near certain equipment. But Lisa, with her background in biotechnology, had learned to focus these connections, gradually gaining access to the Space Force's communication network. She hadn't meant to spy, not at first. But when she saw messages between Alan and Olivia, arranging meetings, her heart had shattered. She read their tender exchanges, their plans for the future, a future that didn't include her. That night, as Alan made another excuse about working late, Lisa simply nodded. When the door closed behind him, she wheeled herself to her computer and activated her neural interface. She would follow the digital trail of her husband's betrayal. But what she found was far more disturbing than an affair. Hidden in Olivia's communications were encrypted messages to an unknown receiver, using techniques she'd developed to interpret her own neural signals. Lisa began to decode them. The message that finally unlocked the pattern made her blood run cold. Subject attachment proceeding as planned. Anticipate access to Phoenix Core within 3 months. Centauri Command will be pleased. Lisa stared at her screen, her fingers trembling against the wheelchair controls. Her husband wasn't just having an affair, he was sleeping with the enemy. Lisa sat in her wheelchair for hours after discovering the truth about Olivia Pierce. The room grew dark around her, but she barely noticed. Her mind raced with questions and fear. Who exactly was this woman? What was Centauri Command? And how? Was the Phoenix Project involved? She rolled over to her secure tablet and began digging deeper, using her newfound connection to the military network through her neural implant. The connection wasn't supposed to exist. It was a side effect of the experimental technology fused to her damaged spine, a glitch that gave her unexpected access to digital systems around her. Until now, she had only used it sparingly, mostly to monitor Alan's betrayal. But this was much bigger than a failing marriage. After 3 days of careful digital searching, Lisa uncovered the truth. The Centauri Coalition was not just a theory, or a rumor as most people on Earth believed. It was real. A breakaway human faction that had established a colony in the Alpha Centauri system nearly 40 years ago. They had left Earth secretly, using early experimental faster-than-light technology that most believed had failed. Instead, they had succeeded and built their own society, one increasingly hostile to Earth government, and Olivia Pierce was their spy. Lisa found personnel records showing that the real Olivia Pierce had died 6 months before the current Olivia arrived at Space Force headquarters. This new Olivia had perfect credentials and background checks, but tiny inconsistencies revealed the truth to Lisa's careful eyes. Medical scans showed subtle differences in bone density and cellular structure that pointed to one conclusion. Olivia was a biosynthetic humanoid, nearly perfect in her imitation of human biology, but not quite perfect enough. "They've created artificial humans," Lisa whispered to herself, scrolling through the data. "And they've sent them to infiltrate us." The Phoenix Project was clearly the target. Lisa accessed the classified files Alan had access to, using his credentials when he was sleeping. The project wasn't just about faster space travel. It was a revolutionary warp drive that would make travel between star systems possible in days rather than years. Earth was preparing to expand rapidly into nearby star systems, including Alpha Centauri. No wonder the Centauri Coalition was worried. They saw Earth's expansion as a threat to their independence. And based on communications Lisa intercepted between Olivia and her handlers, they planned to sabotage the Phoenix Drive and steal its core technology for themselves. Lisa started a secure document and began listing all the evidence she had gathered. Her first instinct was to report everything immediately to Earth intelligence, but a nagging doubt held her back. If she revealed what she knew now, they would simply arrest Olivia. The wider spy network would remain intact, and the Centauri coalition would just send more infiltrators. She needed to identify all the players, and to do that, she needed time. Lisa closed her document and looked at the wedding photo of her and Alan that still sat on her desk. He had been a good man once, dedicated to their marriage and his duty. Now he was a security risk, potentially, giving classified information to an enemy agent between kisses and promises. Her wheelchair hummed softly as she moved to the window, looking out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the visible stars, the Centauri coalition was waiting for Olivia's reports. They thought they had the upper hand, with their perfect spy sleeping next to one of the Phoenix Project's senior officers. They didn't know about Lisa. The next morning, Alan came down for breakfast looking tired. He had been working late again, or at least that's what he claimed. Lisa knew he had been with Olivia until nearly midnight. "Coffee?" she offered, sliding a mug across the kitchen island. Alan nodded gratefully. "Thanks. How did you sleep?" "Well enough," Lisa lied. She had been up most of the night monitoring communications between Olivia and an encrypted channel she now knew originated from a stealth satellite in Earth orbit. "How's the Phoenix Project going?" Alan's shoulders tensed slightly. "Good. Making progress. But you know I can't discuss details." "Of course," Lisa smiled. "I was just making conversation." Alan sipped his coffee, not meeting her eyes. "Lisa, we need to talk." She knew what was coming, had been expecting it for weeks. "About Olivia?" The mug froze halfway to his lips. "You know? I'm in a wheelchair, Alan. Not blind." She kept her voice calm, reasonable. "You've been pulling away for months. It wasn't hard to figure out." Alan set down his coffee, shame and relief battling across his face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. After the accident, everything changed. You changed." "I got injured," Lisa corrected him. "My spine was damaged, not my heart or my mind." "I know, and I've been awful." He ran his hands through his hair. "I couldn't handle it. And then Olivia was there, and she made things seem simpler." Lisa nodded slowly, fighting back her anger. This man had vowed to stand by her in sickness and health, only to abandon her when things got difficult. But she couldn't show her true feelings, not now, when larger issues were at stake. "I want a divorce," Alan said finally. "Okay." He blinked, obviously surprised by her easy acceptance. "Okay, just like that?" Lisa shrugged. "What do you want me to do? Beg you to stay with someone you don't love anymore? Fight for a marriage you've already checked out of? That's not how I want to spend what energy I have." "I thought you'd be angry." "I'm past anger," she said truthfully. Her anger now was reserved for Olivia and the Centauri coalition, not for the weak man in front of her. "If you want Olivia, then go be with her." Alan looked relieved but also slightly confused, as if he'd been prepared for a battle that never came. "Actually," Lisa added, letting a calculated idea form, "if you're serious about her, you should get married quickly." "What? Why?" "There's that regulation about unmarried officers not being allowed to work on the same classified projects, isn't there? Section 42B or something? If your relationship becomes official, she might get transferred out of Phoenix. But if you're married, they usually make exceptions." Alan stared at her. "You're helping me stay with her?" Lisa smiled, the expression not quite reaching her eyes. "I want you to be happy, Alan, and I have my own life to rebuild." As Alan left for work, visibly relieved by her apparent acceptance, Lisa turned back to her secure tablet. She had just bought herself more time. The wedding would take weeks to arrange, even with an expedited divorce. That gave her time to identify the other Centauri agents surely embedded in the Phoenix Project. She activated her neural implant, feeling the familiar tingle as it connected to nearby networks. Time to go hunting. Lisa developed a routine over the next 2 weeks. During the day, she played the role of the understanding soon-to-be ex-wife, even helping Alan pack his things as he prepared to move in with Olivia. At night, she used her neural implant to dive deep into the military network, tracking communications and personnel files. She identified 3 other Centauri agents embedded within the Phoenix project. Unlike Olivia, they worked in lower positions. A maintenance technician with access to the cooling systems, a security officer who patrolled the main laboratory, and a communications specialist who could monitor and potentially alter official messages. Together with Olivia, they formed a complete sabotage team. Lisa needed help, but she couldn't risk going directly to Earth intelligence. If word got out about an investigation, the Centauri agents might accelerate their plans or go into hiding. She needed someone she could trust. Someone with authority but no direct connection to Phoenix. She found her ally in Admiral Grace Martinez, a tough, no-nonsense officer who had been Lisa's mentor before the accident. The Admiral visited Lisa, at home, supposedly to check on her recovery. "You're looking well," Grace said as they sat in the garden, away from any potential listening devices. The neural implants seemed to be helping. "They are," Lisa said, "in more ways than one." She slid a small data drive across the table. "I need you to look at this, not at headquarters, not on any networked system." Grace's eyebrows rose slightly, but she pocketed the drive without comment. "Anything else I should know?" "It's all there, and I need this to stay between us for now." The Admiral nodded. "I'll contact you securely." 2 days later, Lisa received a message through an old emergency channel she and Grace had established years ago during a sensitive research project. Package received, contents verified, proceeding with caution, additional resources allocated under classified protocol, continue as planned, contact when ready for extraction. Lisa smiled. The Admiral believed her and was putting together a response team. Now she needed to set the perfect trap. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Alan seemed eager to start his new life, unaware of the danger he was in. Lisa agreed to all his terms, asking only for the house and a modest settlement. The final paperwork would be signed in 2 weeks, and Alan had already scheduled his wedding to Olivia for the same day. "Isn't that a bit fast?" Lisa asked during one of their final discussions about property division. Alan looked guilty. "Olivia wants to get settled before the final phase of the Phoenix project begins next month." Lisa nodded, filing away this information. "So the Centauri plan was timed to the project schedule. I understand. No sense waiting when you know what you want." In her secure communications with Admiral Martinez, Lisa outlined what she had learned. The Centauri agents were planning something during the final phase of the Phoenix project, likely the first full system test scheduled in 5 weeks. "We need to identify all agents before moving in," Lisa typed. "The wedding gives us the perfect opportunity. Many Phoenix staff will attend. We can scan for the unique biosignatures I've identified in Olivia." The Admiral agreed. Earth intelligence. Technicians disguised as wedding planners would install specialized scanning equipment at the small reception hall Alan had rented. The ceremony would become an elaborate trap. As the day approached, Lisa found herself strangely calm. The neural implant hummed against her spine, feeding her updates as the Earth intelligence team moved their pieces into position. Hidden scanners were placed throughout the Justice Center where the divorce would be finalized and the wedding would take place afterward. Undercover agents were assigned roles as staff and guests. The morning of the divorce, Lisa dressed carefully in a simple, blue dress, her wheelchair recently upgraded with smoother, quieter motors. She pinned her hair up neatly and applied light makeup, determined to show dignity. Alan met her at the Justice Center, looking uncomfortable in a formal uniform. Olivia was nowhere to be seen. "She's meeting me after," he explained awkwardly as they waited outside the magistrate's office. "Thought it would be respectful," Lisa nodded. Thoughtful of her. The divorce itself took less than 20 minutes. Papers were signed, the magistrate spoke briefly about new beginnings, and suddenly 3 years of marriage were legally dissolved. Lisa felt a strange mix of sadness and determination as she signed her name one final time. As they left the office, Alan hesitated. "Thank you for making this easy. I know I don't deserve your kindness." "We all make choices, Alan," Lisa said quietly. "We all have to live with them." He nodded, then checked his watch. "I should go. The ceremony is in an hour." "Actually," Lisa said, "I'd like to come, if that's okay." Alan blinked in surprise. "You want to attend my wedding? To Olivia? Is that so strange? We were friends once before we were anything else, and it might help give closure." She smiled softly. "Besides, many of our mutual colleagues will be there. It would be good to see them." Alan seemed uncertain but nodded. "If you're sure, I am." The wedding ceremony was small but elegant, held in the Justice Center's garden area. About 30 people attended, mostly colleagues from Space Force. Lisa positioned her wheelchair near the back, watching carefully as each guest arrived. Her neural implant buzzed softly against her skin, feeding her information from the hidden scanners. 2 more Centauri biosignatures detected, beyond the 4 she had already identified. One was a woman she recognized as an administrative assistant to the Phoenix project director. The other was a man she didn't know, possibly Olivia's handler. Lisa sent a coded message to Admiral Martinez, who was disguised as a distant family friend of Alan's. 6 targets confirmed. Olivia walked down the short aisle in a cream-colored dress, looking radiant and completely human. Only the hidden scanners could detect the subtle differences in her cellular structure that revealed her true nature. She smiled at Alan with perfect sincerity, the ideal picture of a bride in love. Lisa watched the ceremony with a calm expression, her hands folded in her lap. To anyone observing, she appeared to be handling the situation with remarkable grace. Inside, she was counting down the minutes to the next phase of her plan. After the brief ceremony, Alan approached her, Olivia on his arm. "Thank you for coming," he said, clearly still confused by her presence. "I wouldn't have missed it," Lisa replied, then looked up at Olivia. "Congratulations. I hope you'll take good care of him." Olivia's smile faltered slightly, perhaps detecting something in Lisa's tone. "I will, and I want you to know I never meant to cause pain." "Of course not," Lisa said softly. "No one ever does." Admiral Martinez approached, champagne glass in hand. "Commander Wright, congratulations, and you must be Olivia. I've heard so much about you." As they exchanged pleasantries, Lisa quietly rolled her wheelchair toward the exit. Her part in this phase was done. The next move would happen at the Phoenix Project Laboratory, where Alan had arranged a special tour for Olivia as part of their wedding day activities. Earth intelligence was already in position there, waiting to catch the Centauri agents in the act of sabotage, and Lisa would be watching through her neural implant, guiding the operation from a secure location nearby. The game was almost over, and the disabled wife everyone had underestimated was about to win. The Phoenix Project Laboratory was located in the most secure section of Space Force headquarters, 3 levels underground. Few people had clearance to enter, but Alan had pulled strings to arrange a special tour for Olivia as part of their wedding day. Lisa sat in a monitoring station 2 floors above, surrounded by Earth intelligence agents. Her neural implant was now officially connected to their systems, giving her full access to security cameras and communications. Admiral Martinez stood behind her, watching the screens. "They've just passed the first security checkpoint," an agent reported. Wright presented his credentials and the special authorization for his guest. Lisa nodded, watching Olivia's face on the monitor. The biosynthetic spy looked appropriately impressed and excited, playing the role of a new bride being shown her husband's important work. Only someone looking very closely would notice the calculating look in her eyes as she scanned each room they passed through. "The other Centauri agents are all at their stations," Lisa said, bringing up a floor plan on her screen. "The maintenance technician is in the cooling system control room. The security officer is patrolling Section C, which houses the drive core. The communications specialist is on duty in the main control room." "And the 2 we identified at the wedding?" Admiral Martinez asked. The administrative assistant is at her desk, positioned to monitor all official communications about the tour. The unknown male left the wedding immediately after the ceremony and is now in a vehicle parked half a mile from here. Likely the extraction team. Martinez nodded approvingly. You've done remarkable work, Lisa. We would never have uncovered this network without you. Lisa didn't smile. Let's finish the job first. On the screen, Alan and Olivia entered the main laboratory where the Phoenix Drive prototype glowed with a soft blue light. It was beautiful, a marvel of engineering that would change human space travel forever. Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez greeted them, clearly honored by the presence of a senior officer. Commander Wright, welcome and congratulations on your marriage. Rodriguez shook Alan's hand, then nodded respectfully to Olivia. Mrs. Wright, it's a pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is mine, Olivia said warmly. Alan has told me so much about this project. It's exciting to finally see it. Lisa watched Olivia's body language carefully. The spy was good, very good. Nothing in her demeanor suggested she was anything but a fascinated new bride. Rodriguez began explaining the basic principles of the Phoenix Drive, carefully avoiding classified details despite Alan's clearance. Standard security protocol when visitors were present. Shall we move closer? Olivia suggested after a few minutes. I'd love to see the actual drive core. Rodriguez hesitated, looking at Alan for guidance. It's fine, Pete, Alan assured him. Special clearance for today. Admiral Hayden approved. It himself. In the monitoring station, Lisa tensed. This was the moment they had been waiting for. As Rodriguez led the couple toward the drive core, she activated her secure channel to the Earth intelligence team. They're approaching the core. All teams stand by. On another monitor, Lisa could see the maintenance technician suddenly leave his station and head toward a restricted access panel. At the same time, the security officer changed his patrol route, moving toward the laboratory. The communications specialist began typing quickly at her terminal, likely preparing to disrupt systems. Trap is set. All units in position. Came the confirmation in Lisa's earpiece. On the main screen, Olivia stepped closer to the Phoenix Drive, her eyes fixed on the swirling energy contained within the transparent chamber. She reached into her small purse ostensibly for her phone to take a picture. Now, Lisa commanded. Alarms blared throughout the facility. Security doors slammed shut, sealing each section. Armed agents burst into the laboratory, weapons trained on Olivia. Similar scenes played out across the facility as teams moved to apprehend each Centauri agent. Alan stumbled back in shock. What the hell is going on? Olivia's demeanor changed instantly. Gone was the loving bride, replaced by a cold efficiency, as she pulled a small device from her purse instead of a phone. Before she could activate it, an agent fired a specialized EMP dart that struck her arm. She jerked as if electrocuted, then collapsed to the floor. Centauri agent neutralized, reported the team leader. Device secured. Lisa watched Alan's face as the truth dawned on him. The color drained from his features as agents surrounded Olivia's unconscious form. Centauri, he whispered, looking at the fallen woman who had been his bride less than 2 hours ago. What are you talking about? Admiral Martinez stepped forward, speaking into the communication system. Commander Wright, you've been compromised. Please come with these officers for debriefing. Alan looked directly into the security camera, as if he could see through it to the monitoring station. Lisa? He called out. Lisa, are you seeing this? What's happening? Lisa sat back in her wheelchair, a complex mix of emotions washing over her. Part of her felt vindicated, watching the man who had betrayed her realizing he had been betrayed in turn. But another part felt only sadness for what they had lost. All primary targets secured, reported the field commander. We've apprehended all 6 Centauri agents. Preliminary scans confirm their biosynthetic nature. Admiral Martinez squeezed Lisa's shoulder. Complete success. You should be proud. Lisa nodded silently, watching as Alan was escorted from the Yo laboratory, his face a mask of confusion and betrayal. The man who had once been her husband, who had left her when she needed him most, had just lost everything. His new marriage was a sham, His career was likely over due to the security breach and his pride was shattered. She should have felt triumph. Instead, she felt only a grim sense of duty fulfilled. "What happens now?" she asked Martinez. "We'll interrogate the agents, learn everything we can about the Centauri technology and their plans. The Phoenix project will continue under increased security." The Admiral looked down at her with respect. "And you, Lisa Wright, have earned yourself a new position if you want it." "What position?" "Earth Intelligence, Special Counterintelligence Division. Your neural implant gives you unique capabilities and you've proven your skill at putting the pieces together. We need people like you." Lisa considered the offer, watching the screens as the Centauri agents were taken to secure holding facilities. Her quiet life as a researcher was over. The accident that had damaged her body had led her down a path she never expected. "I'll need upgrades to the neural implants," she said finally. "Better access, more control, and a team of my own." Martinez smiled. "I think that can be arranged." Later that evening, as Lisa was wheeled out of the facility by a security detail, she passed Alan sitting in an interrogation room. Their eyes met briefly through the glass. His were filled with questions and betrayal. Hers held only calm certainty. Looked away first. Outside, the stars were beginning to appear in the evening sky. Lisa looked up at them, thinking of the vast distances between Earth and Alpha Centauri, and the conflict brewing across that gulf of space. Earth would need every advantage in the coming struggle, and she had just given them one. 3 months passed since the capture of the Centauri agents. Lisa sat in her new office at Earth Intelligence headquarters, reviewing reports on her specialized screen. Her wheelchair had been replaced with an advanced model that responded directly to her neural implants, giving her greater mobility and independence. The door slid open, and Admiral Martinez entered with a data tablet. "The Phoenix drive testing was successful," she announced. "Full warp capability achieved. We're officially faster than light capable." Lisa smiled. So the Centauri sabotage would have been devastating. Complete catastrophe. The simulation shows their device would have created a runaway reaction in the drive core. We would have lost the entire facility and all our research. Martinez set down the tablet. "Your intervention saved the program." Lisa nodded, but her mind was already moving to the next challenge. "What about the interrogations? How many more agents have we identified?" 12, spread across various Earth government and military installations. We've quietly removed them all." Martinez hesitated. "There's someone who wants to speak with you. I told him it was your decision." Lisa knew immediately who it was. "Alan?" "Yes. He's been through extensive debriefing and security clearance review. He's been cleared of knowingly aiding the Centauri, though his carelessness has cost him his position on the Phoenix project." Lisa considered the request. She had avoided any contact with Alan since the day of the operation. "Send him in. I might as well close this chapter." Martinez nodded and left. A few minutes later, the door opened again. Alan stood there looking thinner and older than he had 3 months ago. The confident commander was gone, replaced by a man visibly worn down by recent events. "Hello, Lisa," he said quietly. "Alan." She gestured to the chair across from her desk. "Please, sit." He sat awkwardly, his eyes taking in her new uniform and the advanced technology surrounding her. "You look well." "I am well." She folded her hands on the desk. "What can I do for you?" Alan swallowed hard. "I wanted to apologize for everything. For leaving when you needed me, for my selfishness, for being so easily fooled." His voice cracked slightly. "I should have been stronger." Lisa studied him, feeling a strange detachment. The man she had once loved seemed like a stranger now. Or perhaps she was the one who had changed. "How did you know?" Alan asked after a moment of silence. "About Olivia? About all of it?" Lisa considered how much to tell him. He had been cleared of intentional wrongdoing but was no longer privy to classified information. "My neural implants," she said finally. "They gave me access to systems in ways no one expected." When you started pulling away, I used that access to find out why. I discovered more than I bargained for. Understanding dawned on Alan's face. So, when I was abandoning you because of your disability, that same disability gave me the tools to uncover the plot. Lisa finished for him. Ironic, isn't it? Alan looked down at his hands. I was weak when you needed strength. I failed as a husband and as an officer. Yes, Lisa agreed, not unkindly. You did. What happens to her? To Olivia? Or whatever she really was? That's classified. Lisa's voice softened slightly. But I can tell you she wasn't a person as we understand it. She was a sophisticated biosynthetic construct programmed to complete a mission. Her feelings for you weren't real, Alan. He nodded, accepting this truth even as it clearly pained him. And what about you? Your new position here seems important. It is. I'm heading a new division focused on detecting and neutralizing Centauri infiltration. The neural technology that helps me walk also makes me uniquely qualified to detect. They're agents. She gestured to the room around them. I found my purpose. I'm glad, Alan said, and sounded like he meant it. You deserve good things, Lisa. She studied him for a moment. What will you do now? I've been reassigned to Mars Colony Security. A step down, but at least I'm still serving. He stood, preparing to leave. I just wanted you to know how sorry I am. For everything. Lisa nodded. I accept your apology, Alan, and I wish you well on Mars. After he left, Lisa sat quietly, processing the conversation. Seeing Alan had stirred fewer emotions than she expected. She had moved beyond their shared past into something new and vital. A soft alert sounded from her console, a new message from Deep Space Monitoring. Unusual energy signatures detected near the edge of the solar system. Possible Centauri vessels. Approaching. Lisa immediately activated her team alert system. The next phase of the conflict was beginning sooner than expected. She guided her wheelchair toward the command center, her neural implants already connecting to the facility's systems, gathering data, forming preliminary assessments. 6 months ago, she had been a woman betrayed, struggling with a disability that limited her world. Now she was Earth's first line of defense against a sophisticated enemy. Her supposed weakness transformed into her greatest strength. The command center was a flurry of activity when she arrived. Officers snapped to attention as she entered, not out of pity or courtesy for her disability, but out of genuine respect for her position and abilities. Director Wright, the chief operations officer, greeted her. We've detected 3 vessels approaching from the direction of Alpha Centauri. Their drive signatures match what we extracted from the captured agent's communications. Lisa nodded, wheeling herself to the central platform. Her neural implants interfaced with the main systems, data flowing directly into her mind. She could see the approaching vessels, feel their movement through space, sense their intent in ways no conventional analyst could. They're coming to retrieve their agents, she announced. They don't know we've already captured them. What are your orders, Director? Asked Admiral Martinez, who had entered the command center behind her. Lisa smiled, a small, determined expression. Prepare a welcoming committee. Let's show them humanity isn't as vulnerable as they thought. As the command center erupted into controlled activity, Lisa felt a strange sense of gratitude. If Alan hadn't betrayed her, if she hadn't been injured, if she hadn't received the neural implants, Earth might now be facing an enemy they didn't even know existed. Sometimes strength came from unexpected places. Sometimes what seemed like an ending was really a beginning. Her marriage was over, but her true purpose was just unfolding. Above the command center, through a reinforced skylight, the stars shone brightly in the night sky. Somewhere among them, the Centauri forces approached, confident in their superior technology and infiltration techniques. They had no idea that one woman, a woman they would have dismissed as broken and powerless, had dismantled their entire operation and was now waiting for them. Lisa smiled up at the stars, her neural implants humming with activity, her mind processing vast amounts of data. The disability that had once limited her had made her something more than she had been before, something new and powerful. The war between Earth and the Centauri coalition was about to begin in earnest. And thanks to a woman they had all underestimated, Earth was ready.